Last night at UFC 148, Anderson Silva once again defended his middleweight crown for a record 10th consecutive time, silencing Chael Sonnen with a second-round TKO in the process. Tonight on Rebellion MMA Radio, we discuss the aftermath of the biggest rematch in UFC history with two of the sport's top analysts. We got E. Spencer Kyte from UFC.com, as well as Fight Magazine and the Australian website The Roar. And then we've also got Josh Nason, also from Fight Magazine and the Wrestling Observer. So many different websites he has contributed to. It's just a plethora. We can sit here all day and name the sites that these two analysts have contributed to. But at this time, let's get into the introductions. I'm Mitch Ciccarelli, and you're not. Sucks for you, great for me. We'll just wrap it up like that. And I've got Bryan Levick, the biggest badass to ever walk out of Long Island, New York. Well, next to myself, of course. Bryan, what's going on, brother?
You didn't drink any Mountain Dew or anything today, did you?
You know, I got my Mega Monster Energy right here. I will take a couple sips out of it, just getting started. We'll see where it goes from here. I might be bouncing off the walls in a couple of minutes.
If you do, I'm going to call you base and tell them that you're having a psychiatric episode.
they're gonna send me to mental health. I'll walk into work tomorrow morning and be like, hey, you got to go straight down to mental health, man. Commander's orders. Like, man, yeah, my co-host tries to play me like that.
I actually was in a bar last night watching the fight with my nephew, and there was somebody there that talked more than you did.
Really?
And it just was to the point where I actually wanted to get up and physically harm this person. We're in a big bar. There's literally probably 60, 70 TVs in this place. It's full. There's a surprise 50th birthday party going on, and I got to hear this jackass. You got a table with four other people, 3 guys and 1 girl. I got to hear this jackass talk nonstop like he's some UFC expert. And I feel like just going over there and be like, shut your friggin' mouth. You're just stating the things that either Joe Rogan just said or off the graphic that just popped up on the screen. And these other people that are with him are like looking at him either. I couldn't tell if they were either just enthralled with him, like, oh my God, this guy knows so much, or B, they were thinking like I was, will you shut the fuck up and just leave?
One of those types, huh?
He was wearing shorts with black socks, and they weren't ankle socks.
Oh, that's no bueno.
Yeah, so that was my experience last night. He actually, between the event itself not living up to the hype, which is, you really can't blame anybody for that. I mean, fights just don't go the way you'd like them to, obviously, sometimes. But, between him and just the fight, the event just being a little bit, less than I thought it was going to be, I wanted to leave. I wanted to take a glass bottle and throw it at him.
Well, we do have right now one of our analysts on the line, E. Spencer Kyte, one of the biggest badasses to ever come out of Vancouver, British Columbia. What's going on, brother? You're on Rebellion Radio with the man himself, Mitch Ciccarelli, and some guy named Bryan Levick we just found in the streets today. I'm just playing. What's going on, man?
Dude, I love how fired up you get for this. Like, I called in early and got Mitch 10 minutes ago, and he was already, popped up and crazy, and the show hadn't started. It's insane. Just be honest, how much coffee and how many Red Bulls have you drank already today?
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. I woke up, chugged one of those big Starbucks, whatever the hell it is, those frozen things you can buy at the gas station. Chugged that sumbitch. I had two Mountain Dews. It was two or three Mountain Dews. Just had a soda at the movie theater. By the way, Men in Black 3, not a bad movie. And I'm chugging a Mega Monster Energy right here. I'm flying through the walls, man. I'm like, if right now I could probably catch Clark Kent. If I flew right now, I'd catch him. I'd hit him with an uppercut, maybe a spinning elbow in honor of Mr. Sonnen. Take low at flanking.
Okay. You're going off track here again.
Man,
if you feel like he's getting off the subject, Spencer, just cut him off, because you get so hopped up he can't control himself.
Just keep going and going and going if we let him.
Hell yeah. You know how we roll.
What did you feel about the fights last night?
I thought I jumped on here and heard what you had to say. I felt sort of the same way. I mean, I expected Anderson Silva to win that fight. I expected him to win in devastating fashion. I didn't expect him to get a chance to capitalize on a missed spinning back fist from Chael Sonnen. That would, if you had to list out the moves in the repertoire of Chael P. Sonnen, I think the spinning back fist is somewhere down near the bottom of like what you expect to see, and so to miss it and then and like you said, that is where the greatness of Anderson Silva really shines, is that he takes that opportunity and turns it into a finish, where some guys would capitalize and maybe win the round, but give Chael that opportunity to get back. Anderson finishes him pretty much right away and in devastating fashion, and that's what, to me, really separates him and any great champion from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I saw Anderson Silva in a new light last night. Not because of his performance, because obviously, he's been doing that for his entire UFC career, just getting those unbelievable finishes and obviously winning. But I don't know, when he brought his sons in there, I don't know, something kind of snapped in me where I saw a new side of him. Because I was kind of talking a little bit before this fight. I wasn't necessarily talking as much as Mr. Sonnen, but I was saying things like, Chael's gonna reinvigorate the middleweight division. He's gonna, I can't remember half the crap that I said, but when I saw those kids in there, man, and they were crying and they're raising their hands up, with their dad, I was like, man, what a great guy, and then a great champion. I just hats off to him. He really put it on the line. But we do have our second analyst calling in right now, Josh Nason, the Thunderbird. What's going on, brother?
I love that nickname, the Thunderbird. That's pretty good.
My new nickname for him, came up with that one on the fly.
Oh,
Jesus. Fellas?
We're just going over last night's fight. So, Josh, I don't know how much you heard, from Mitch rambling on. That's Mitch's nickname, is the Rambling Man, by the way. We were just talking to Spencer, asking him about his thoughts on the fight last night, and now that you're here, I'd love to hear what you thought about the main event.
Well, I think it was going to be tough to live up to the hype no matter what, with all that build and all that just insane amount of, the UFC obviously saying that the biggest fight of all time and all this stuff, and I thought that it was going to be tough to live up to the hype unless it was a 5-round back and forth war. But I thought it was good. I thought Silva was going to be dominant. He just had that just way about him that you really thought that he was going to just really get after it, and he did. And he proved why he's the best in the world. And Sonnen, it's crazy how fights work out. You see that first round, and Chael, Chael just doing exactly what he did, essentially round 6, and taking him down and going at it again. Then in that second round, Silva doing what he does best, in that strike and hurt people better than anyone, and ended up winning in dominant fashion. I think like everyone did. When you first kind of look at you look at that round, that knee that goes in. And immediately people think that it's going to be illegal, and that's what I thought initially because the camera angles and then immediately stoppages afterwards, and you feel like there's kind of some issues. You feel like, okay, now this is going to be a big thing, and it's going to be a problem, and you hate to see fights end like that, especially when a few minutes earlier, if you notice that, Silva's grabbing Sonnen's shorts, and Yves Levick is on the other side and doesn't see that, and then all of a sudden immediately it's just you have this assumption that things are going to go bad and all that, and that he's completely missed it. But then all of a sudden you see the replay. It's like, no, that knee was placed perfectly right into the sternum/solar plexus. And Silva is exactly, he's exactly what everyone thought he is, the best in the world, and seems a guy that is so far removed from that, that night in Abu Dhabi against Damian Maia that, this is really excited to see what happens next, and hopefully his next challenger is going to be, as much of a competitor and fighter as Sonnen was, but we'll see what happens.
I got a question for you too, and it's actually a two-part question. Is the first one is how much do you believe that the build-up to the fight with Sonnen's trash talking do you think that it was kind of, predetermined? Like, obviously UFC wants to sell the fight, but was Silva in on it a little bit with the way he acted on the press conference and the shoulder bump? And the second question I have is, it's not an accusation or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but Mitch and I had talked about it. When Silva gets ready for the fight, he takes the Vaseline that's around his eyes and his face, and he wipes it all over his shoulders and his arms. Do you guys see anything wrong with that?
Yeah, I'm majorly wrong with that, and I'm glad that Levine actually wiped off his torso, and I'm glad they brought that up. I'm sitting there watching, I'm just like, is anyone else seeing this? The fact that he's going around his eyes and wiping down himself. I mean, you go back to St. Pierre and Penn with a quote-unquote grease gate, even though, I think regardless, St. Pierre would have dominated him anyway. But you see that, and obviously that's a bad thing, and it was kind of an interesting sub-note that no one really brought up a lot after the fact, but, what was he doing? And was immediately when he starts doing that, I'm like, is he that worried about the takedown early? He's going to try to slip out, and I'm glad that Yves Levine caught that right away. To me, it was like, wipe him down. And those are things that in the whole course of a story, with a fight and with a fighter and all that stuff, I think those are things that are important to discuss afterwards. Like, what was he trying to do? And hopefully that'll be talked about a little bit more this week. And, not to obviously discredit his victory or anything like that, but yeah, those are important aspects to bring up for sure.
Well, I've got breaking news right here. I've actually have been in contact with Ed Suarez, and Anderson wasn't rubbing grease on his shoulders. It was actually aloe. He was, really severely sunburned. It's kind of hard to see on TV, from chilling outside, barbecuing all the time. Speaking of which, are you guys going to the big Anderson Silva barbecue? I actually got my invitation in the mail today. Yes, on a Sunday. So I will be there, rocking a Speedo and bringing some sunblock with me. We talk about that. Everybody wants to see what's underneath these clothes, man. I am a living Adonis.